What's the biggest scandal that happened at your school? During my senior year, our principal, Mr. Davis, suddenly retired in the middle of the semester. It happened on a random Tuesday. No warning, no send-off, just an intercom announcement during homeroom saying he'd step down for personal health reasons. By lunch, the entire school was buzzing. No one believed the official story. Mr. Davis was only 42, healthy, active. He had just run the school charity 5K that previous weekend and came in second. He'd even been talking about big plans for the next school year during the last assembly. His sudden disappearance made no sense. The vice principal, Ms. Carter, took over immediately. You could tell she was uncomfortable. She avoided eye contact whenever anyone mentioned Mr. Davis. Teachers shut down any questions. When someone tried to ask about him during class, they'd just say, "We're not allowed to discuss personnel matters," and move on. A few days later, his name disappeared from the school website. Not updated, gone. Email address deleted. Office cleaned out. When the yearbook staff asked whether to include his photo, they were told explicitly to leave him out. It was like he'd never worked there at all. Then the rumors started. First, it was whispered that he'd been caught drinking in his office. Then it escalated to accusations of stealing school funds. The wildest version floating around was that he'd been having an affair with a student. It got so bad the administration sent out a school-wide reminder about the importance of respecting privacy, which of course only made it worse. 2 months later, I was at the mall with some friends when I saw him, Mr. Davis, at a kiosk near the food court, selling phone cases and chargers. He looked completely different. He'd lost weight, grown a beard, and wore a hoodie pulled low over his head. I almost didn't recognize him. He saw me first. His eyes went wide, and he immediately glanced around, as if worried someone else had noticed. I approached him slowly, not even sure what to say. "Please," he said before I could speak, "don't tell anyone you saw me. I promised I wouldn't." Then I asked what had really happened. He hesitated, checked over his shoulder, then leaned in and told me everything in a low voice. He said that a few months before, he discovered the district superintendent had been embezzling funds from the special education budget, tens of thousands of dollars. The money was supposed to go to adaptive technology, extra staff, and transportation for students with disabilities. When Mr. Davis confronted him and threatened to report it, the superintendent retaliated. He fabricated financial records and planted fake evidence that made it look like Mr. Davis had been stealing. Then he gave him a choice: resign quietly or face criminal charges. I couldn't risk it, he said. I had to protect my family. If it went public, I might have gone to jail. Even if I proved my innocence, the damage would have been done. So he left, quietly, without a fight. The district scrubbed his name, and no one came to his defense because they didn't know the truth. He took the fall to avoid a worse fate. 3 years later, I read an article online. The same superintendent had been arrested after a state audit exposed years of fraud. He'd siphoned hundreds of thousands from various school programs, including special ed, STEM initiatives, and even free lunch funds. Multiple whistleblowers came forward, and the paper trail was undeniable. Mr. Davis was officially cleared. The documents that had been used to frame him were proven falsified, but it was too late. His teaching license had lapsed. His reputation was gone. No school would touch him, and he'd already started rebuilding a life outside of education. He never returned to teaching.